Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy, Sports and Fitness Rants? I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. What's up, y'all? Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Got another great video for you guys today, as usual, man. You guys know the deal on this channel, man. We must continue to stand up, set the record straight, stop the lies, stop the narratives, hold these guys to a standard, stop them from rewriting the history, man. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that I've been thinking about, man. I really don't, or I haven't really thought I heard anybody really talk like this. Now, this might be a hot take, I don't know. But to me, I really want to ask you guys, who has LeBron James beaten in the NBA Finals? Who is he beaten? I'm not impressed, man. You know, oftentimes we hear LeBron James fans make a big deal about who LeBron James has faced in the NBA Finals, and they'll say things like, oh, Michael Jordan never had to face the teams like LeBron James faced in the NBA Finals. And all they're doing is giving the excuses for his losses. But who has he beat in the NBA Finals? Who has he truly beat? To me, he hasn't beat anybody. Nobody, really. And we're going to talk about in this video. And you guys know what to do, man. You guys know. Let me thank you guys first. I always want to thank you guys, man, before you turn it up. Thank you to everyone out there, man. Like I said, everyone in the membership. You guys, it's truly humbling, guys. For real, man. Much respect to all you guys out there, the true basketball fans, man. And you guys know what to do. Turn the volume all the way up. Hit that play button. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes. And let's roll. Let me grab some water real quick, guys. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. So, yes, guys. I don't know if this is a hot take or not. And I don't know if I know the LeBron James fan club is going to come after me for this video. And I don't know if some of you guys are going to, be with me on this one. But for me, guys, whenever we hear these LeBron James, Michael Jordan debates or people trying to tear down Michael Jordan, what do they always love to go to? Right? They love to go to Michael Jordan's finals competition. And why is that? Because they believe that Michael Jordan's 6-0 record is invalid, right? So they'll excuse it by saying what? Oh, Michael Jordan didn't play anybody. That's why he's 6-0. Only Michael Jordan, I told you guys, this does it done for, right? Because once again, they must excuse Michael Jordan's greatness by making up these narratives and lies that the 90s was a weak era, right? So you'll hear them say things like, the 90s was weak and Michael Jordan had Scottie Pippen. And I've told you, it doesn't add up. How can Scottie Pippen be so great, but the 90s be weak? Right? This is where they expose themselves, right? But when you think about it, when we think about the finals competition for a Michael Jordan, anyone that knows 90s era NBA, anyone that knows basketball in general, understands that Michael Jordan played against great teams in the NBA Finals. Great teams in the NBA Finals. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the times, a team that makes the NBA Finals is usually a quality team. Usually, not all the time, but usually that's the case. When we think about the 90s, that was certainly the case because of the depth of talent and the depth of the teams in the 90s. There were great teams in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. There was no weaker conference. Both conferences were tough, but they played differently, right? I told you guys before, the Western Conference in the 90s was known for being more of a run and gun, a high-flying offense type of conference, while the Eastern Conference was known for a more bruising, physical, defensive-minded conference. Now, I'm not saying every team in the West didn't play defense, but I'm telling you that was the personality of those conferences. That's how they were described in the 90s. But there were teams from top to bottom in those conferences, guys, and there were great players all across the NBA. So when we think about the competition that Michael Jordan played in the finals, it was outstanding. I told you guys, Michael Jordan in the Chicago Bulls, guys, beat 7 60-win teams in the 90s. 7. That's the most by any other team in the history of the NBA, guys. That's by far. So if we think about that aspect right there, that shows and highlights how great the teams were. Not just the individual players, the names on the back of the jersey. It was about the teams. From top to bottom, they were well coached, right? They had chemistry. A lot of these teams stayed together for years, right? They developed that stuff. So they were tough teams. When we think about LeBron James and the NBA Finals, and I tell you guys, to me, like I said, it might be a hot take, but I don't think, who did LeBron James beat in the NBA Finals? Who? I'm trying to figure this out because all you hear from the LeBron James fans is how difficult LeBron James' competition was in the finals compared to other all-time greats. And they'll always say, oh, no one had to play the Golden State Warriors in the finals. Right? They keep trying to pummel the Golden State Warriors of the 2017 Warriors as this unbeatable team. When we all know that Kawhi Leonard and LaMarcus Aldridge and the Spurs had the Golden State Warriors down by 20-plus points in the third quarter. They had no answer for the Spurs. They were handily beating them down. Without Tim Duncan, with a young Kawhi Leonard, a LaMarcus Aldridge leading the way, they had no answer for these guys. No answer to 2017 Warriors. This unbeatable team. Remember, it was Zaza Pachulia that took out Kawhi Leonard's knee in that series, and the rest was history. We could point out many instances, guys, of the 2017 Warriors or the 2018 Warriors not being that impressive. They were not unbeatable. They're not the greatest team of all time. Right? The same 2018 Warriors that were down 3-2 to James Harden's Rockets. I'm supposed to believe that James Harden was beating that team 3-2. And because James Harden's a choker, that's the only reason why they won. I'm supposed to believe that Michael Jordan's Bulls wouldn't beat that team that James Harden was beating. It's laughable when they say this, guys. This is when they get exposed because that's not the reality. Now, let's think about the teams that LeBron James actually beat in the finals, not the teams that he played, the teams that he actually beat. And we'll think and compare this. So we all know LeBron James won his first championship in 2012, right? They beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2012. I'm not impressed. Are you guys impressed with the 2012 Thunder in a lockout-shortened season? I'm not impressed, guys. Once again, LeBron James was playing on his super-duper team that was in the finals the year before and folded up. Dwayne Wade had a finals MVP under his belt and a championship. You had other guys with championship finals experience. Remember, I told you guys, Michael Jordan's 1991 Chicago Bulls, still to this day, is the only NBA team to win a title without anyone on the team having any finals experience. No one on the team had ever been to an NBA finals before. No one. They're the only team in NBA history that can say that. That's the grace of Michael Jordan. That's the leadership of Michael Jordan going into that finals. So once again, LeBron James has no excuse. You beat the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder, once again, who all their players were 23 years old or younger. Right? James Harden was 22, Kevin Durant was 23, Russell Westbrook was 23. Now, why do I bring the age up? Because if you guys remember, the LeBron James fans will always tell us that the reason why LeBron James lost in 2007 was because he was only 22 years old. Or 23 years old, whatever he was. Oh, LeBron James was too young, that's why he lost. They use his age as an excuse. Another reason why I bring up the age is because the LeBron James fans also like to say that Michael Jordan and the Bulls did not beat the Pistons until they got old. They didn't beat Magic Johnson until he got old. These are things that they like to use against Michael Jordan's greatness. So we're going to use the same standards to expose LeBron James and his idea that he beat any real team in the NBA Finals. Now, when we think about Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden now, all these years later, this exposes that 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder team as not really being that competitive or being that great to me. I don't think they were that great. They were that special because who did LeBron James beat? You beat Kevin Durant at 23. Kevin Durant, to me, is not that guy. He's been exposed. So LeBron James' competition has been exposed over these years. Right? Kevin Durant ain't that dude. He can't lead a team. He can't. And even in the finals, Kevin Durant put up some good numbers in the finals. He actually outscored LeBron James in the NBA Finals. But once again, LeBron James was playing on a super-duper team that he put together, and he beat a bunch of youngsters. Russell Westbrook, is Russell Westbrook this great, all-time great player? Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer, but we all know Russell Westbrook is not really that kind of guy. Right? Remember, this is the same Russell Westbrook that LeBron James fans us was that good. He's crap. Right? He's getting death threats, all this stuff. This 23-year-old Russell Westbrook. Also, James Harden. James Harden has exposed himself over the years as not being anyone special. Right? James Harden back in 2012, you might have thought, hey, this guy's going to be a great player one day. And then James Harden turned out to be a bum, soft loser that gives no effort, that got no heart, and no one respects James Harden. So when we think about the clown show that was the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2012, I don't respect that win. Are you going to sit there and tell me, the LeBron James fans, that was an impressive win over a 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder team that wasn't top 5 in defense or anything like that of that nature, when LeBron James was playing with his stack, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, all these other guys on that team? I was supposed to be impressed with that win. Once again, LeBron James putting all the odds in his favor to win a championship. Not impressive. Once again, who did LeBron James beat? That Oklahoma City team is not better than any of the teams that Michael Jordan beat in the finals. That Oklahoma City team ain't beating the 91 Lakers. They're not beating the 92 Trailblazers, the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, the 97 or 98 Utah Jazz. That Oklahoma City team is not. They don't have any real man on that team. They don't got no real leaders. Russell Westbrook was the heart and soul of that team, man. But he's not a real leader. And he wasn't a great player like that. Not like that. I told you, Russell Westbrook ain't win no MVP in the 90s, y'all. And I love Russell Westbrook. But those are the facts, man. And these guys were 23, 22 years old. Right? What are we talking about here? So LeBron James gets the age excuse for him in 2007, but not in 2012 for the Thunder. Once again, I'm not impressed with that win. You're on your super team. Stack team, not impressive at all, guys. Once again, who did LeBron James beat in the finals in 2012? Nobodies. He beat a bum James Harden, another soft Kevin Durant dude, and Russell Westbrook, who we all know is a disaster out there sometimes, right? He's very inconsistent, Russell Westbrook. So I'm not impressed. Not impressed at all. Also, let's think about the next year. He beat the 2013 Spurs. Now, this might be the only quality team that he kind of beat. But when we think about it, once again, this is where LeBron James gets exposed. Let's use the age argument that the LeBron James fans like to use for the 1991 Detroit Pistons. Everyone on that team was under 30. Isaiah Thomas was 29 years old. Joe Dumars, I believe, was 26 or 27 years old. And Dennis Rodman was 29 years old. Rodman might have been 28 years old, I think. So they were all under 30. Their three best players were under 30 in 1991. Dennis Rodman was a back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year winner in 1991. He was an all-star that year. Isaiah Thomas was an all-star. Joe Dumars was an all-star. 3 all-stars in 1991, guys. So when we think about these things, we think about the Detroit Pistons and people saying they were old. It's not the case. They were not old. Not by age standards, not by the NBA standards. They were not old. So if we think about the 2013 NBA championship when the Miami Heat beat the San Antonio Spurs, did anybody tell me how old Manu Ginobili was? I believe he was 35 years old. Anybody want to tell me how old Tim Duncan was? I believe he was 35 years old. Tony Parker was 30. So their 3 best players at that time, because it wasn't Kawhi Leonard yet, guys, don't forget, Kawhi Leonard had done nothing up to that point in the NBA. Right? He was only in the league for a couple of years, never made an all-star team, never made an all-defensive team, never won a Defensive Player of the Year award. He had nothing. He's averaged like 12 points, 13 points for his career up until that point. Kawhi Leonard was not that dude, guys, in 2013, but somehow he was able to give LeBron James a lot of problems. You guys remember LeBron James having that look on his face when Kawhi Leonard checked back in, he was on the free throw line. He was like, oh, man, Kawhi coming back in again. This LeBron James guy, he's a coward, man. That was before Kawhi Leonard was anybody. Once again, how were the Spurs? They were very old that year, and LeBron James and the Miami Heat beat that team. Once again, I'm not impressed because we all remember they beat that team because Ray Allen made that crazy 3-point shot at the end of regulation in Game 6. Without that shot, the series is over. The series is literally over, and LeBron James wins 1 championship in his time in Miami. And once again, the San Antonio Spurs won 58 games. All right, nothing too crazy. 58 games, that's a good amount of games. That they weren't an all-time great team. Once again, Tim Duncan was 35. Manu Ginobili was 35. And Tony Parker was 30. So if the Detroit Pistons were old in 1991, then damn it, the Spurs were super duper old in 2013 when the Miami Heat beat them. So once again, LeBron James is playing on his super team. Not impressed with that win over the Spurs. Not impressed when you get bailed out by Ray Allen. Not impressed by that win over the Spurs. I'm really not. Once again, LeBron James playing on a team that won 66 games. The Miami Heat won 66 games, guys, in 2013. They were the number 1 seed. And the Spurs won 58 games. They were the number 2 seed in the conference. And they beat them. And we're supposed to be impressed with that? That was supposed to be like some kind of, oh my God, they beat. No, we're not impressed with LeBron James on his super team beating the Spurs in 2013. Because what happened the next year? They lost to the Spurs, the team that was actually a little bit better that season, because even though Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker were a year older, what ended up happening? Kawhi Leonard started to come into his own in 2014, right? So that was the neutralizer. Where was LeBron James in 2014, right? He got neutralized. His points, he had no impact on the game. And the Spurs beat them in record fashion. So once again, I'm not impressed with your win over the 2013 Spurs when they came back the next season and beat you guys down. That would be like Michael Jordan and the Bulls beating the Karl Malone and the Utah Jazz and John Stockton Utah Jazz in 1997, and then the Jazz coming back the next season and embarrassing the Bulls in embarrassing fashion is beating them down. That would be the same thing. It wouldn't be as impressive if that the Bulls beat them the one year and then they got killed the next year. Because remember, they didn't beat the San Antonio Spurs down the year before. They barely won that. And then the Spurs beat them down. So I'm not impressed with those first 2 championships, by LeBron James playing on a super team. I'm not impressed. Not impressed, LeBron James. 66-win Miami Heat. You guys barely beat the San Antonio Spurs? And once again, what will you hear LeBron James fans say? They'll try to call that Spurs team a dynasty. They were not a dynasty. Those Spurs teams were not the dynasty Spurs. The dynasty Spurs ended in 2007. That was the end of the dynasty. They did not make an NBA Finals again until 2013. So you're not a dynasty when it took you 6 more years to make an NBA Finals. The dynasty Spurs were from 1999 to 2007. That 8-year window, they won 4 championships. That's a dynasty. All right, the 13-14 Spurs are not a dynasty. They used that to prop up LeBron James in that win over the Spurs in 13. And then he gets beaten 14. Not impressed, man, with LeBron James, those first 2 wins. Let's think about 2016, the win over the Golden State Warriors that LeBron James said made him the greatest of all time. That series right there. Once again, I asked LeBron James fans. LeBron James was on a super team in Cleveland. Right? He was on a super team in Cleveland. You had LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love on that team. All perennial all-stars. Right? Kevin Love was a perennial all-star before he came to Cleveland, and LeBron James destroyed his game. If you guys remember, just the other day, that guy Nurkic had 31 rebounds in a game. That was the first 31 rebound game since who, guys? Since Kevin Love. Since Kevin Love in 2011. Kevin Love had a 30-30 game. This was Kevin Love, guys, before he came to Cleveland. But everyone will tell you, all the fans, oh, Kevin Love's garbage. And then they'll turn around and say, oh, LeBron James lost in 2015 because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love got hurt. But which one is it? If Kevin Love was garbage, then why did it matter he got hurt in 2015? Same thing for Kyrie Irving. If you're using it as an excuse that he was hurt in 2015, then how come in 2016, LeBron gives him no credit? None of his fans give Kyrie Irving any credit. But then you say, oh, it was only because Kyrie Irving got hurt in 2015 while they lost. Well, then we can say that the only reason why they won in 2016 was because of Kyrie Irving and his 27 points a game, his game-winning shot in the Game 7 of the NBA Finals, him outplaying Steph Curry handily in a 7-game series. Kyrie Irving never gets any credit, though, does he? Nope. LeBron James fans will keep talking about, that made me the greatest of all time. That made him the greatest of all time. Him, the greatest of all time. Being a 2016 Warriors team that was not a super team. Think about it. It was Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. If we think about LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Love, to me, that threesome is much greater than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Kyrie Irving's greater than Klay Thompson and Draymond Green at that time. He's greater than both those guys. So yeah, LeBron James, Steph Curry are probably the top two players of the series, then a Kyrie Irving, then probably a Klay Thompson and a Kevin Love, and then a Draymond Green. But in the series, Kyrie Irving was the second best player. Right? It was LeBron James and then Kyrie Irving. It wasn't Steph Curry playing out of his mind and they still were able to overcome this. It was Kyrie Irving outplaying Steph Curry. That was the X factor for that series, guys. He was the X factor. So once again, LeBron's playing on a super team. The Warriors were not a super team and LeBron James beat them. I'm not impressed. Steph Curry was injured. Right? Draymond Green gets his suspension. Andrew Bogut goes down. Andre Iguodala goes down. And once again, there's no excuses. But these are things that we can highlight, right? Because LeBron James fans will always talk about 2015 injuries. Then we can make excuses for 2016. Once again, I'm not impressed with these wins. They're not impressive at all. Not impressive, guys. Not impressed LeBron James beating the 2016 Warriors on his super team. Not impressive, guys. And then we think about the last championship he won. The 2020 bubble championship. I mean, that no one respects. But let's think about the team he beat. He beat a play-in team, right, or whatever seed they were, 6 seed, whatever the hell the Miami Heat were that year, right? With Jimmy Butler as the best player. And listen, man, I like Jimmy Butler. He's a weirdo. You know what I'm saying? He's got a lot of feminine energy, Jimmy Butler, whatever. But let's be honest here. Jimmy Butler is nowhere near the level of players that Michael Jordan was facing in the NBA Finals, man. This Miami Heat team is one of the worst teams in NBA Finals history. So when I told you guys earlier that most of the teams that make it to the finals are quality teams, there are exceptions, right? The 2020 Miami Heat is an exception. Because not only were the Miami Heat not an overall great team led by a really great player, like some of the other teams that Michael Jordan was facing, the Karl Malones, the Charles Barkleys, the Gary Paytons, the Magic Johnsons, the Clyde Drexlers, right? They're being led by Jimmy Butler. But not only that, their entire starting lineup was diminished with injuries. You guys remember, Bam Adebayo went down for like 3 games. Goran Dragic was hurt. Tyler Hero. All these guys were hurt in the finals. They all missed multiple games in the finals. And the Lakers still took 6 games to beat this team because LeBron James was too busy stat padding out there. So, are you guys impressed with the 2020 championship over the Miami Heat with Jimmy Butler? That was the best player on the team, Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler, once again, guys, would be nowhere near the best player on any of the teams that Michael Jordan faced in the finals. Nowhere near this. But they want to talk about LeBron James' competition. No, they only want to talk about LeBron James' failures, right? That's when they try to use his competition as an excuse. Oh, Michael Jordan had to play the Warriors. No, Michael Jordan played great teams. He played great teams in the finals. The Chicago Bulls beat great teams in the finals. LeBron James, he was on a super team for all these championships. The 2020 bubble, him, Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo, Dwight Howard, all these guys on that team. It was Jimmy Butler out there with Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. That's what he had on his team. But I'm supposed to be impressed with LeBron James beating that team in the finals after having 3-4 months off in the middle of the season, playing in a bubble with no fans, no travel. So when we think about it, guys, from top to bottom, man, all the championships that LeBron James won, all 4 of them, not impressive at all. Who did he beat? He beat literally nobody compared to Michael Jordan. He beat no one. He beat an old Tim Duncan that was breaking down, right? And then the next year they came back and got revenge. So what does that prove? It proves nothing. And they actually beat him down. He barely won that. Ray Allen saved the day. But they want to talk to us about John Paxson and Steve Kerr in Game 6s? The delusion of the LeBron James fans, guys. Once again, LeBron James has beat nobody in the NBA Finals. I'm not impressed, guys. LeBron James beating the 2012 Oklahoma City Thunder with soft Kevin Durant and soft James Harden. Are you kidding me? They've been exposed, guys. That's not a challenge. Michael Jordan would have killed those guys. They're weak. And LeBron James on a stacked team. Not impressive. The 2016 Warriors, not impressive. Once again, LeBron James on a super team. LeBron James never won a championship without a super team, guys. Never. Michael Jordan played on the Chicago Bulls team that he came up with, right? That he pushed in practice year after year after year to get these guys to get better every single season. The teams he played in the finals were great teams from top to bottom, led by all-time great players that were not soft, that had grit, that had heart. Magic Johnson leading his Lakers with Byron Scott, James Worthy, Vlade Divac, Sam Perkins, right? We think about Clyde Drexler in 92 with Jerome Kersey, Terry Porter, Kevin Duckworth, Buck Williams, Danny Ainge. This is a top-to-bottom team. We think about Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns, Charles Barkley, right? Tom Chambers, Kevin Johnson, Dan Marley, Danny Ainge, Richard Dumas, Oliver Miller, Mark West. It's a deep team, man. We think about the 96 Sonics with Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Detlef Schrempf, right? Hersey Hawkins, Nate McMillan, Sam Perkins. I mean, my goodness. And we all know about the 97-98 Utah Jazz with Stockton, Malone, Brian Russell, Jeff Hornacek, Antoine Carr, Howard Isley, Greg Ostertag. I mean, these guys were tough, man. They gave the effort. Chris Morris. Shout out to Michael Jordan's 90s. All the guys he played. The true leaders of those teams, man, they had heart, had grit. Much more heart than the Kevin Durant 2012 Thunder, right? They want to talk about age, but then the 2013 Spurs, right? The 2016 Warriors with their injuries, Draymond Green's nonsense, right? They weren't on a super team. So once again, LeBron James always had the odds in his favor and still somehow only managed to win 4 out of his 10 championships. And who did he beat? Who did he beat? He lost to some good teams, but he didn't beat them. Remember, he lost to good teams, and he did not beat those teams. Even though he had comparable teammates, he had a stacked team, he still couldn't beat these teams. All they do is make excuses for LeBron James. You guys know the deal, man. Once again, I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but to me, LeBron James beat nobody in the NBA Finals compared to Michael Jordan and some of the other all-time greats that played stiff competition. Larry Bird's, Magic Johnson's competition, Dr. J, Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan. They played against some quality teams, man. Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, Bob Pettit, Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, right? Jerry West, John Havlicek. These guys played against teams, man. True competitors. You guys know the deal, man. I'll catch you guys on the next one.